Welcome to Driven for Health. Today is a special day. We have a guest, and if you're listening in, you're likely a man in your 40s and 50s. You're successful in a lot of areas of life. Oftentimes, we find ourselves successful on paper. We see the financial success or the house success or cars or whatnot, but then there's other things in the background that aren't as successful, and that's what we're going to be jumping into is men's health, men's mental health, men's physical health, and how we can maximize those opportunities to get a full life to live and be full of energy and give to the people around you to a high level. My guest is Jonathan Sheldon. He works with leaders and teams, and his focus is something most men never stop to focus on and think about. It's authentic leadership, not just because of social media, but actually leading from within. And I can't wait to dive into our conversation to talk about how we keep carrying more and more weight, physical, but also mental and emotional, than we ever have. And as you get into your 40s and 50s, you actually feel those things. Didn't feel that when I was younger, and I feel it ever present now, providing for my family, providing for my clients, and being an actual productive member of society and maintaining that. So today we're going to break down what his framework is to find authenticity into your day-to-day life, what his blueprint is, his purpose, vision, environment, and motivation, so we can actually connect with our physical, mental, emotional health. All right, Jonathan, welcome aboard. What is one big takeaway that you want our listeners to have from our conversation today?
First off, thanks for having me on, Brian. This is going to be great. The big takeaway, you just kind of mentioned it, is you don't have to just figure it out or just take care of it. You don't need to pick up that extra weight or that rock and put it in your pack. There are other ways to do that. And knowing what your purpose and your vision in life is what's most likely holding mentality back.
Yeah, definitely. Men's health is something that we quickly focus on in our pre-interview conversation, and we're going to be diving into that. And what are some of the things that, first, maybe do a brief recap of who you are and why people should listen.
I don't know why people should listen. I'm
You're
not going to
right.
speak to that, but who I am, high level story. I'm a prior Marine, infantry squad leader. I did 2 deployments to Iraq as such in the early 2000s. I'm a fierce friend and husband. I am the owner of a professional coaching practice, and I spent the better part of 15 years in high level financial planning.
Yeah, and from our very beginnings, I can feel authenticity. I can feel leadership coming from you, just how you show up, your presentation, even the little bit of research that I did on the front end on even your Instagram. Because that's where
Oh,
I
good.
first saw you. I was like, "Hey, who is this guy?" And saw
Yeah,
your
that's gonna.
website and your Instagram. You had a bloopers reel that
I was gonna say, people when I have conversations like this, I think people, when they watch some of the Instagram stuff, there's a lot of humor in a lot of my videos.
yeah, which is
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Humor,
The bloopers one,
sarcasm.
it's so funny, dude. I've spent so much time and energy and money on those videos, and the blooper one by far was the most
Oh,
successful.
oh yeah. I'm playing the content game and trying to
Yeah,
juggle how much time and energy I put into it's
yeah,
because it takes a lot. All
it
right,
does.
what is authentic leadership to you, and how do you see it showing up with men these days?
Yeah, I love the what is authentic leadership question, because how I describe it and the way I like to go about it is, look, there's a lot of programs, tenets, like the Marine Corps got JJ did tie buckle, which is 14 leadership tenets essentially. I can't even pretend like I remember all of them now, but those aren't mine. John Maxwell isn't me. Jocko Willink isn't me.
Right. Right.
What I like to tell people is draw from uh, those
Yeah.
those leaders, right? Draw from the past, draw from other examples, but take the time to not just regurgitate what you heard and
Yes.
understand what type of leader you are and that you want to be and how you show up. Because if it's not authentic to you, you just won't do it. It's like core values, like for businesses. If you're not actually living by them and you're not holding your employees, your staff, or your family to, I build core values with families a lot. If you're not holding to them, then why even have them? And that's what authenticity means to me. It's not like you shouldn't have them. It's change them. You know, there are things that you're going to focus in more as a leader again of yourself, of your family, that somebody else said that you might not connect to and you just fight the entire time. Like be your authentic leader. Find out what type of leader you want to be for all of those aspects.
Right. What area do you find men showing up in as that leader? And then the flip of the coin, where are they lacking that leadership?
I think a core leadership principle that is I do think is important is that leading by example. And I think that's the answer for both, weirdly. I find that men who are doing a good job of being leaders are leading by example, and ones that they're lacking are do a lot of talk and don't do a lot of practice, like being a practitioner of it, right?
Yeah, I totally see that as well. I'll work with a man and then he wants to influence his family. Said you have to lead by doing. You can't come in and just all of a sudden, well, we got to clean out the fridge and the pantry and we got to start walking together every night and we're off screens at this time and all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
good luck. Good luck,
yeah,
man. You're
yeah.
burning bridges here real quick. But if
Right.
you lead and they see change, that magnifies the effort and the intensity and the focus to then get them to want to or pull them more toward you in that type of situation. Now
Absolutely.
you had a ruck analogy that you brought up. What
Hmm.
was that about? Just because if we can teach stories and analogies, that's when people actually grasp these concepts.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought of this at one point in time, but it came to me on a client call.
Yeah. Best times, right? You're just
Right,
looking
right,
for resources to
right,
get someone
right.
to think differently.
Yeah, and the way that I think about men in general, because I've just, call it what it is. Like I was in the Marines. That's 99% men.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
thank you for your service. Quick time out there.
Oh, yeah, no,
Appreciate
no, I
that for
appreciate that,
sure.
man. Appreciate that. But that's 99% guys. Financial planning is 99% guys. And so I've spent my entire lifetime primarily surrounded by honestly, like I would call high value, high driven men. And one of the common things that I've seen, especially when you start seeing them go off the rails a little bit, is they say those words in the beginning that I mentioned. Like they'll say, "I'll take care of it. I'll figure it out," and that's their answer for everything. And all they're doing is, if you think of like you're on a ruck, a ruck walk, jog, whatever it might be that you're doing, hike. It's every time you say that, all you're doing is taking and picking up a rock on the path and just putting it in your pack, saying, "I'll take care of it." And then something else happens in your life, your family, your business, and you're like, "I'll take care of it." And you put it in their bag. And then something else happens. And you guys get the trend here. There gets a point in time where you just can't take the next step. And if anybody's, and you're obviously deep into the fitness coaching world, from what my understanding is, I've been working out since I was a kid. You don't hit the last rep until you're halfway through the last rep.
Then it just shows up. You're, oh my
Right.
gosh,
It's
I
like,
was good. I was good. And now I'm not good anymore.
exactly. And how many times that happen when you're working out where you're like, "Oh, I got this. I got this. I got this." And then all of a sudden you're like halfway through number 10. You're like, "Oh, I don't have this."
It's going up, up. Whoa, it's going down. I need some help here. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what happens to us. And from what I witness with
Yeah.
men in life is by the time they realize that it's like you're there, you don't have enough, you can't push it up anymore.
Agreed.
And if you don't have a spotter, what do you do? And that's why that's one of the reasons why I think men's mental health is such a big thing to me, is
Huge.
because I've been witnessing that for so long now.
Yeah.
With with your quote unquote societal high achievers, right? Your CEOs, all of that, all the way down to the dude that, just got out of college, right? A young man.
Right.
Like, I see it throughout the entire span. It's just, when is that last rep hit, and are you prepared for it?
Right. Right. And for me, that last rep is a bad blood panel at the doctor, and they get sent away with lose weight, or they saw themselves in a picture, and or their clothes don't fit, or their wife turns away from them. In a sense, there's just no physical intimacy. There's they can't keep up with the kids. They're out of breath, or they're tired. They finally caught themselves in this endless screen, disconnected from reality type situation. Those are real things. Now, there's two things that I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about was and go from here was the ruck, and what what are the points that you see that final you just can't do it anymore? Is there a time? Is there signs, symptoms? Or what does that look like? And then at what the other thing is the landscape of men's mental health. Like, how have you seen that change? Because we can go back to the 50s and men don't ask for
Yeah.
directions. And then now it's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
talked
Good point.
about. So it's a two-part. I just want to throw this both out there, but that's where I'd like to head in our conversation. And what are some of the signs, symptoms, and timing that people start to hit this last rep, feel, and maybe even share an example?
Yeah. What I notice is guys end up getting quiet and disassociating.
I totally.
That's when I see them. I think that's the most common symptom that I personally see is, you'll see dudes, they'll stop hanging out as much, they'll start disassociating, and it's like they can't get there. It's like the weight is becoming too heavy, where it's like, and I'm not even close to say that I know much or anything about being an expert in depression or anything like that, but it's just what I notice is they start disassociating. And hey, man, what do you, I there was a guy, man, actually a good friend of mine. It's a good friend of mine. Probably 3 weeks. You asked for an example.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah,
this is again where it lands. Of you might be listening in and think you're fine. Fine is I'm good. I'm fine. That's a common response that everyone says, regardless of what actually is going on. And if you have a bro, or you have someone that's in your corner, you're not fine, dude. There's things going on. I see it in your physical body and your energy, or I haven't talked or I haven't heard from you in weeks. What's going on?
yeah, yeah. Guys pull away. I was at a bar with a bunch of my friends. We try and get together a couple Thursdays a month, and which I think is super super powerful. By the way, everybody.
Totally.
But
My men's group meets
we're
in this barn here and we work out a couple days a week.
yeah, that's awesome, dude. Like, I'm a big proponent of that. But we were talking, and this guy, his claim to fame is, there's nobody I've ever met. I was in sales for 15 years, and there's nobody I've ever met that talks more than this guy. And love him to death. He does, and he talks so much, but he's super kind and generous guy, and he gives a shit. Sorry,
Yeah.
but and it's and we were sitting at the bar, and we were talking, and he's in this new business that he's been in for a couple of years now. Started asking questions like, "Oh, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while," and all this type of stuff. And generally, you gotta kind of buckle up a little bit and be like, "All right, we're gonna get a response here."
You just
Yeah,
handed the reins
yeah,
over and he's going to
yeah, yeah,
take the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
conversation.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And it was like these kind of like 2 or 3 worded answers, and you could just tell on his face that something is deeply like bothering him. And so later, and I even said to him in person, when one of our other buddies walked away, it was just us two, and I said, "You all right, man? Like, everything good?" And even in that response, you could tell everything was not okay. Something was going on, but he didn't feel comfortable talking about it. So honestly, um, I sent him a text later that night when I got home. No, it was the next day. And I just said, "Hey, I wouldn't be doing a good job as a friend if I didn't check in on you. You definitely seemed off. Just want to let you know if you ever want to vent, talk, go out to coffee, whatever, outside of like the group stuff we do, I'm here for you, man. Just let me
Yeah,
know."
yeah.
And I just left it at that. And he responded back. He said, "Yeah, it's just been a lot going on. You're really, you're a really good friend. Thanks for checking in on me. Yeah, everything's not okay, but I might take you up on that in the future." And just letting guys know that there's
Yeah.
somebody else that they could if they
Yeah.
wanted to, whether they
Yep.
take you up on it or not, is I think important because that message right there, I don't think guys send to each other enough.
No, there's no
Of just like,
signaling, there's
right,
no communicate,
exactly.
there's no acknowledgement that things
No,
aren't okay. You just
dude,
brush it on
and
the
Brian,
rug and put another rock in the pack on your
yes,
ruck.
and how many, and this is what frustrates me about guys a little bit too, is how many times does a guy like that leave the bar and everybody says the same thing and nobody checks up on him?
Yeah,
Everyone's like,
right.
"Man, he's really off today." Yeah, he is. Nobody says a word. Oh, come on, let's be better than that. It's not weak. It's not weak to send a text because you know that when your buddy's going through something. It's not weak. And I think that's what we all think. It's like, no, it's not. That probably means way more to him because that's one of the things that I've realized even just doing the work that I've done on myself and thinking through it is how little guys get any sort of that type of attention. And that's what I mean by that rock. It's just like, oh, you're just supposed to be okay no matter what. You're just supposed to be okay no matter what. And that's
Right.
challenging.
Right. Even say me, I've the last 23 years, I talk to people about health, nutrition, fitness, personal development, self development, all these things. How can I make this person shine? And even me, I'll have moments and bouts of overwhelm or burnout or all these things. And my guys, Chris, Dan, Andy, those are my three amigos, so to speak. But Andy I run with. Dan is actually a middle school friend, and we still hang out. He comes over and we work out. And then Chris, he is a longtime friend of about 20, basically my whole career. I remember him at the gym I used to work at when I personal trained back in 2005. His daughters went to school with my daughter, and we crossed
It's
paths at
awesome.
one of the dad and the daughter dad dance. And then we went out for coffee. And then that next day, we just catching up, and we did it 2 days later or something. We caught up, and hey, do you want to come work out? And we actually have a broversary date. It's over there. February, it's May 8th, 2023 is the first workout that we did together. So it's our broversary date. But the
I've never
guy
heard
has
Bellwood before. That's why I'm laughing. I think that's awesome, dude.
but we've had some really deep conversations about a lot of things. He has 4 kids. He's self-employed for as long as I remember him as well. We're
Yeah.
juggling responsibilities of work, of growth, of family, of aging parents, of financial insecurity. Even if you don't actually have it, you still are always wondering, making sure you can pay your bills and all that. These are things, especially in the 40s, that they didn't recognize other men having. Unfortunately, my father wasn't very present the last 20 years, and I'm going off of YouTube University here on
Yeah.
on a lot of things. And Tony Robbins personal development, that's my some of my background there of I have a problem, I need a solution, I'm going to go find it on YouTube. Just simple things
Yeah.
of doing house remodeling, and I will go figure out how to do the thing that my wife wants me to do. I can't tell you how many laminate floorings I've laid in the last couple of years. But now, piggybacking off of that, how have you seen men's health shift in the last couple of say decades, the last 2 to 3 decades, there has been more conversation, ideally because of social media, and there's
Yeah.
more male advocates out, the men's health advocates out there. How do you see this evolve from the 1950s? I don't stop for directions. I never ask for directions to being actually open to conversation. Because as soon as we want more open conversations, then we have actual resolution, solutions provided into the everyday life of that person to make it better, higher quality on a lot of different ways.
Man, that's a great question, dude. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm only going to speak from my
Yeah, of
perception.
course, your lens, right? Speak from your
Right,
lens,
right,
your
right.
truth, your experience.
Yeah. I think that mentality. I think that we need to remember history too.
Could we learn from
And
history and not repeat it? Maybe
yeah, right.
if we could do that, it'd be
It'd be pretty
amazing for
sweet.
human existence, right? Period.
Yeah. The generation that we're kind of talking about though are guys that from part of necessity just needed to get stuff done at the same time
Yeah.
as, and I think we need to credit that generation for doing some pretty impossible stuff
If we
with,
talk about just basic
right.
engineering and architecture of our country, roads and
Yes.
whatever else, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
huge, yeah,
exactly. And so I think that there's some context there, but as it's changed, what the caution that I have about the changes that we have seen, and I think the majority of them are good, of giving more resources, bringing awareness to this. I don't think that we're anywhere close to that yet. I mean, again, suicide statistics are what they are. 70% are of one demographic, you know?
yeah. And unfortunately, you mentioned that that's pretty proximal to you. You've experienced that in your life. I have not, but you
Yeah.
have because of your service.
Yeah. And we can, yeah. Yeah. I mean, for those that are
Just a
listening,
side note. Yeah,
yeah, a lot. Like, and when I mean a lot, it's a disturbing amount. And when you tell people, some people honestly can't even really fathom that it's over 40, you know? But I think a piece of that too, man, is like encouraging people to open up and not be, that's the dangerous trend I see. I'll be honest, is like just because you don't. I'm going to give another example. Is that okay, Brian?
yeah.
Right.
Stories, and now I try
Okay.
to load as much as I can whenever I'm on shows
There's this,
to
yeah.
land it.
There's this theme of about in men's health that that you need to be less like less masculine, we'll call it, right? And
Yeah,
there is that trend, right?
right.
And you get a lot now. You get this entire other side that's like, no, you got to do that. No, you can be and share emotions with your friends and still be a very masculine man. The most the deepest and most caring and most authentic conversations and the most I've ever seen men cry is when I've hung out with my combat vets or whatever. We tell each other. My wife used to think it was kind of weird, honestly. Like I say I love you to every guy I get off the phone with. If they're calling me, we're having a conversation, they're good. Not every
Yeah.
guy, obviously, but
Right, right, right. The of
a lot,
relationships.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, the ones I actually have
Right.
relationships with. I'll say,
Right.
"Love you, man," right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean that, and I
Right.
do mean that, and that's not me being a weak man. I think that's sometimes we're getting so far like
Right.
misconstrued.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
It's a missed
Masculinity,
emotion that is not been
yeah,
truly expressed for a long time for guys is love.
exact,
I haven't felt
exact.
it from my dad in years. I probably since I was in high school. I'm turning 43 next Sunday. Or yeah, this coming Sunday. And I haven't experienced love from a man sense of view for at least 2 decades. I
Yeah,
don't know what that looks like.
and that sucks, man.
Yeah. And it is what it is. It's for me, I've learned and I've adjusted and adapted. I try to be pretty tactful and agile in what life is throwing at us.
Right.
But that has taught me to make sure that I impress upon my kids. I have 3 boys and a girl. It's very important that I'm present, that I show up, that I am engaged as much as possible, that I'm providing opportunities, experiences. They
Mm,
do endless amounts of school, sport activities. We've traveled. We're going to travel the world with them. Like my daughter's 10. She's been to all 50 states in multiple countries. We create a lot of opportunities for them to thrive and be bold, independent people. And I
Yeah.
certainly hope in 10 years it pays off. It should, because they get good grades and they're very, all the things. But it's taught me to make sure that I love on them.
You cut out there at the end there, Brian. I'm
No,
sorry.
I just stopped talking.
I 100% agree. And that's what I would say with my perception of what's going on is we're shifting, we're confusing the two things of the sense of losing masculinity is opening up. No, it's actually, in my opinion, it's the exact opposite. You can still be a strong man for your family, be a masculine individual. You can work out, you can listen to Joe Rogan, you can do whatever you want, and still have feelings and open up to your friends. Those two things can exist together. They're not mutually exclusive. And I think we need to dive into authenticity is manly. Like
Yes.
being that person of your sense self, that's confidence. These are the hallmarks of a man, in my opinion, is being confident in who you are. And if that's a guy that says I love you to his friends, be that dude.
Yeah.
Be that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Totally. Now you have leaning into some of the way that you coach people. So we have a pretty good baseline here. There's some pillars, there's some general context that you take people through to go. So let's start with maybe let's go with the end in mind, and then we'll then go back to the beginning of how you create that end. So guys know, they can see that roadmap that we're going to lead them on, but then we'll walk them through how does that actually happen. And maybe even a story might be another good way to illustrate that, of someone, this is where they're at. Because I could tell you endless amounts of stories that have been slam dunk clients where their life has changed because they lost 20 pounds
Yeah.
in multiple different ways. It's been incredible, and that's one of the underlying reasons why I do what I do, is for the deeper impact of getting this weight off and how I can impact and touch that person in a much more powerful way. And that's where we hit it off really well, because
Yeah.
that's the underlying reason of why we do what we do. We just approach it subtly different on the front end.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the end result is almost like we just kind of the full circle of what we just talked about, is being that fully confident man or leader, right? That makes decisions confidently and quickly. And I think of it, I've got a client who really kind of sparked this. I said it on a call, and we were going through some of the things that were non work related stuff, right? That were massively impacting his business in a good way. And I said, dude, that's a part of your, I remember just coming out of my mouth, I go, dude, that's part of your blueprint. That's why. Like, this is obviously a piece of you, and never lose that. And he had never thought of it before, because again, he's just so focused on putting out fires of his business, or picking up rocks and putting them in his pack, right? It's like but he never took the time to think through the aspects that make him the most successful man, leader, right? Business owner. And then the other piece of that is, okay, once you get there, how do you make decisions confidently and quickly? Because we know that that even builds even more confidence, and confidence is key in this life, right? So it is
Yes,
about building that confidence and
speed.
feeling confident in who you are, where you're going, who you're around.
Creating less friction, more speed, more
Yes.
capacity to become authentic in your own. What are the four pillars that you build off of?
Yeah. So first one is purpose, right? I kind of dive into it as much as like the ancient Japanese word ikigai, which would be, what are you good at, what do you like to do, what can you be paid for, and what does the world need? I focus more on the first two things, like what are you good at, what do you like to do, but that's really talking more of professionally. Realistically, we can take that same thing and think of it on a personal level too. Is, what is your purpose? Like, what is your reason? As they say, the ikigai roughly translates to your reason for being. I thought of this mostly because of my time actually in, and really the transition out, is when I noticed that at least the majority of my friends who were struggling with PTSD, not to say that our experiences didn't shape that. And yeah, everybody knows when I say what I mean by experiences. But one of the things that I noticed more so was they lacked purpose. You join the military and
Yeah.
you have this deep purpose, one that you're willing to
Huge
die
purpose.
for,
Yeah.
right? And then you get out and you go to college, and then what's your purpose? Yeah, all you've known is purpose, 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 purpose. Well, so that's one of the first triggers for me was I need to find new purpose. And then I started realizing that not just vets needed to, that guys needed to, and people needed to in general. This model is not specifically for that,
Right. Right.
but that people need to find that purpose. What are you? What are you? And then the next beyond that is your vision. Is where are you going? You figure out who you are, your purpose in life. Now, where are you going with that? And that gives you that drive. So the first one is purpose. The next one is your vision. The third one is your environment or ecosystem. Who do you surround yourself with? What people, places, tools, things do you thrive in? For a father, it
Yeah.
might be family.
Yeah.
For a single guy, it might be his group of friends. For somebody, it might be just their wife, right? Or their significant other. It doesn't really matter. Like for some people, it might mean something different, but everybody has an environment that they know that they thrive in. And most people, this is where I see most people are really screwing up that they never put themselves in enough positions to be in that environment long term.
Right.
We talked about the my Thursday night guy night thing every couple weeks. One, there's a bunch of science around that anyways that just came out this year that I saw, which is pretty interesting. But the other piece of it is like that's my wife knows, and we did an experiment on this too. Like we were really busy, we were traveling a lot. I didn't get that time with my guy friends, and she literally told me one day, she's like, "You need to go hang out with your
Hang it.
friends tonight because you're in a weird headspace." And she's right. She's right. She was totally right. And I didn't even realize at the time of like that's what I was actually missing. But it is something strange. Like that is a piece of my life that I need. I need that guy time, you
Right.
know? So that
What was the
environment,
study or findings that you referenced? What was it?
I'll have
Just
to
a
send it
top
to
level.
you. Was the
The
rough state
synopsis.
of it. Yeah, the synopsis was guys that do at least one guy night a week experience, I think it was as high as like 70% less depression.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I'll look it up. So don't quote me. Anybody's listening. Don't quote me on
No.
that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
It's
pretty
synopsis.
close. It's
I will
pretty
say
close. Yeah.
that with my buddy Chris, when we met at the dad daughter dance, everything was fine. He's overweight. He's overstressed. He was drinking a lot. He was just disconnected. And by coming over here and just focusing on an hour workout, couple days a week, it was a huge, powerful outlet. And we
Oh yeah.
literally, give me a second. I'm going to show you the board. Give me a second. I'm going to go get it. It's
Yeah. Do
worth
it.
looking at. And if people are wondering why I have a Santa hat on, because it's right before Christmas. I should have said that in the beginning. All right, here we go. This board, if I can not have the glare on it. There we go. All those letters, numbers and letters are dates, and it tells us what we did. So I have the date. I've got initials for who was with me, and then I have the body part or exercise stuff that we did. So I can, if we can zoom in, see if it does it. So that's November. That's how many times I worked out in November. And CC is Chris Chattarelli. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times we met, it looks like. And then there's December. It's sloppy handwriting from men. But you can see some of them are huge amount. We're spend a lot of time together and we
Yeah,
work
that's
out.
awesome.
And I find that it's mutually beneficial that we get connection and then we get exercise. And even with my buddy Dan, he comes over and I just asked him what we never actually talked about it, but what else would we do? Are we gonna just hang out at the bar and drink or something and do that? That doesn't make sense. Dan has 4 kids. He has an overnight shift work for the majority of the last 10 years. He's super involved in his family, but he's overweight. And I need him to take better care of himself, especially that way. so that he lives longer. All right. He is a great guy to be around, the king of one liners, man. This guy has the zingers that come out of nowhere. And he's just a genuinely good person and friend. And we would come over, work out. He would bring us kids, and we played street hockey in our backyard with our kids together, and kickball and foursquare and baseball and all these touch football, all these really good memories through physical activity and social connection that I have very fond memories. I'm actually growing more sad talking about this right now, is because the hope this hasn't happened, but the last time that we played street hockey may have happened, because my kids are 16 and 15, the older two. His oldest is 16 and 18, and they're moving on to a different part of life. And that leaves Dan and I behind. And we then don't have people to play street hockey with. And we used to, it'd be 2-on-4 or 5, and we would just have an amazing, fun, joy-filled time. Is some of the best experience I've had with bonding with my kids.
That's awesome.
That I am disappointed that it's fading away because of just the evolution of life. So, but there you go. There's the physical connection to create authenticity. But Chris, will die on this, but he's significantly better mentally, emotionally, physically, as a result of coming over here. And we listen to music, and silly enough, we've been watching movies as we work out. We're going through the Terminator series. We're on Terminator 4 now as we work out, and it's just fun. It's just a step out of the stress, the reality, and you get that with your guys too.
Yeah, and I'll give what you do a ton of credit. You and I talked last week about this a little bit, but one, I think physical fitness is massively important for mental health, and guys specifically. I really
Mother
do.
Nature's best form of depression.
Absolutely.
Release.
Yeah. And one of the things that I miss most, and that, my buddy and I just got out of rhythm. We both run small businesses. He's incredibly busy. I'm incredibly busy, but we used to wake up every day, and there's a gym that's about 15 minutes from both of our houses in the middle. And, for about 2 straight years, we would work out every morning together at 5:30 a.m. And then we would both, there's a diner right across the street, and we would go. He's the fastest eater I've ever seen in my life. And we'd eat in about 4 minutes, and then we'd be on the rest of our day. But we both talked. He's one of my best friends, and we were talking about this year, how we both have that basement workout machine, the tonal that we use, and we actually follow each other, and we still like hold each other accountable to that in a sense. But we both agreed
Randomly,
this
if
year,
I may interject, why don't you guys just jump on a FaceTime and schedule time?
That's where I was going with this. Yeah.
Okay,
We've
cool.
actually said,
Okay.
like, we miss doing that so much. Why don't we just like FaceTime each other while we're working out?
Yeah.
It's like, there's something about, Brian, and man, you must feel this with yourself, your clients, and your friends. Like, there's something about doing something hard together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That brings people together. So like my buddy and I will trade. His name's JC. We will literally trade like terrible household activities together. Like, hey, can you help me put a solar panel on my Airbnb? And I'm like, dude, that sounds like something a professional should do. But yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, right.
And it was miserable. But,
it's like, why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? But just like doing stuff like that. So, because a lot of guys, when we're talking about guy nights and stuff like that, they're going to a bar, like you said.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Don't get me wrong.
There's varying levels of degree, and then also your social circle of which you do it with, right? Not everyone's going to be the same person or time together, and you have to manage your personalities to match.
And one of the reason I say this is like that's all great, but some of the deepest bonds that I've ever made have been workout buddies or hunting buddies. Where like, hey, we're going to Colorado and we're going to do something incredibly hard for 10 days. And that's like an experience and a bond that you never break. It's something that, again, I learned from the military. You do hard stuff together, and it means something. I don't know what it is. I haven't done enough research on that, but it means something deeper than
life is hard. Well, even just go back to just human existence. there was a lot hard. We're living
Yeah,
in the most
a lot of
convenient
hard.
time ever, right? Every day
Absolutely.
is more and more convenient, and that's causing problems. It's causing health problems, mental, emotional problems. There's no community anymore. And in the back in the day, you did things together that were hard, and then there was a fruitful payoff that took
Yes.
time, patience, energy, effort, connection, bonding, mental, emotional levels of frustration to joy, and you were able to actually experience a full range of motion of life, of human
Yeah, man.
existence. And we're so muted these days because of our convenience and marketing and capitalism, and we don't need to go down all those routes, but that's the reality. And there's more depression and more sadness. It just simply put, sadness in existence,
Yeah.
because there's just nothing hard to do anymore, and there's no fulfillment, there's no purpose, there's no authenticity that makes you you,
Yeah.
because everyone's doing vanilla stuff.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, man. It's you nailed it, dude. There is something there about, even to this day, I've had a, we'll call it a desk job for the better part of 15 years. But before that, I worked on a farm when I was 15. Then I worked for a landscaper till I went in the Marines. And then after the Marines, all throughout college, I actually worked at a landscape company and then started my own for a year and a half before I found myself in finance. Um, but here's what I'll tell you. I still think about building patios as, like, I'll never forget that those 2 summers
Yeah.
and how gratifying it was to do something really hard, because it was
Yep.
hard,
Long and hard. Yeah.
long and hard. It was how much I remember that and how much I think back at those times and how much I appreciate it now. Of, like, there's that sense of accomplishment of, like, yeah, this sucks, and there's every taste of that ice water tastes so much cleaner. Like, you know what I mean? That protein shake at the end.
You go,
Yeah.
go. There's that refreshment.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look at your work that you've done, and luckily I've taken picture of every patio I've ever built. Now I probably do one a year for, like, family and friends.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, I have all the stuff, so why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the end, and you know what? Honestly, the reason my wife asked me, like, "Why do you do that? It's so hard and it takes up an entire weekend most of the time." It's like, honestly, I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't get that.
Right.
Like, there's something about creating something in a single weekend that's
Right.
physical, that's there.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that you can go hang out and I built a fire pit. That same buddy, of course, he asked me to build him a fire pit, like, and so we go and we do it together for an entire weekend, and it's so awesome going there the next weekend and sitting and communing with him
Yes.
and his wife and his kids and my wife and myself,
The
and you're sitting on a
joy.
patio that you built.
Yep. Yep.
It's
Yep. Yep.
cool. There is
Yep.
something there too, and I haven't done enough research on it to nail it down, but there's something.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Not building a deck, but in recent weeks, Halloween, I sat down and it was pumpkin carving time with the
Yeah.
family, and I got everyone's done, helped them do cut and scoop and and design and all those things for the kids. And then I had my pumpkin, and I got lost in about 2 hours. The first time I've ever done a pumpkin this way. I usually cut out, shapes and stuff, but I scraped away the flesh to
Oh, you
create
did?
a sculpture. Yeah, this is the very first time I've done it. It looked close enough to what the outcome was, but then my wife was being playful. It looks like ET. Supposed to be this ghoul with this open mouth
Yeah.
face and all, and she's like, that kind of looks like ET. But
That's funny.
I was at peace, just focused on that one thing.
Yeah.
I saw the picture, and this was the task to bring that image out of the pumpkin. And it was very satisfying and so different from my day to day life, which
Yeah.
is more and more digital because
Yep.
of just the landscape. It was refreshing. No stress. I just had music, Halloween music in the background, and I felt very proud of my ET like pumpkin.
That's awesome, man.
Nope. Now, let's jump into another story about a really big shift. I have a home run. If I want to rate clients on terms of successfulness internally, but also with them, I think of baseball. I need everyone, no matter what, to hit a single. You just got to do the tasks.
Mm.
That's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to swing for the fences, but we
Yeah.
need to hit a single, a double pretty much every day. And then you move the needle, you make progress. And then occasionally some clients come along because of their circumstances, their situation, both physical, mental, emotional, that become a home run or a grand slam client. Drake, guy was making $250K a year. He was driving the fast cars, living the high life. He could just go do whatever he wanted, but his job career was stifling. It caused him to be 270 pounds. He had
Mm.
tremendously high blood pressure, the point where the doctor wanted to medicate him immediately. You're a walking heart attack, Drake, is what she said. And he said, give me
Wow.
6 months. And then we met. And the social all the environment was so ripe for the picking for me that it
Mm.
was one of the easiest, most transformative, impactful clients that I've had in my 20 years of doing this. I mean, I got the guy, I influenced him in a lot of different ways for power of good, but he quit his job. He sold his car within a weekend. He was driving around a Shelby GT Mustang, and it sounds fun and exciting, but he said, Brian, I'm an F-150 guy. Why are you driving around in a Mustang, man? And I allowed him to step toward authenticity, to step toward who he actually is. I opened the doors and allowed him to walk through those things by guiding him through the process, asking key questions and holding him accountable to the things that he said was most important to him, because I listened and I'm a good coach. And he
Mm.
sold it and got it, the joy filled energy from this guy's voice when he picked up his car. He sent me pictures of him in the parking lot getting in and all. He was so excited, and he's rolling around in an F-150 now. And then he lost the weight. He went from 270 to 180. He
Whoa.
quit his job. Yeah. He quit his job. He makes more money than he did with significant amount of stuff. He had to sign papers to the FDIC or something about money laundering and theft, because when you're managing over $1 billion, $100,000 is like a penny in 100, and it's easily to go missing and never get found. And so he would go to jail if that money was mistreated. In a sense, he took that responsibility. So he's making more money. He called me, he said, Brian, I'm getting married. This was 2 years after. I'm getting married to my soulmate, to someone I absolutely love. Brian, I'm buying a house. Like, these are all life events that, after the fact, that he shared with me because of the engagement in the conversations and the relationship that we had. And it's tremendous. He could text me or I could text him, and we'd jump on a call and pick up right where we left off, because it was just that type of an impact. And that's why I do what I do, because that's my drug. That's exciting to see that. So that's my, say, grand slam of a story. What's one of yours that you took through some of the pillars to create the outcomes that person wanted? And just wanted to talk to the listener here. As successful coaches, John and I, we align with what success means to the client.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not what we put on them. It's, we talk, we listen, we understand where they're at, where they want to go. And then we create that map, that massive action plan to be able to get there. And that's what the pillars are. All right, John, what do we got?
I'll never forget. It was actually in the process of building this idea that I had and, like, fulfilling it. And one of my clients sent me a picture of, he was in Boston. His son has an eye condition, and was in Boston in the hotel with his family, with his son getting another surgery that he needed. And up until we had gone down that process, he never took the time away from his business to go do trips like that. He was always either Like he runs a construction company, and he was always either checking in or, doing the books while he's in the hotel room
Right.
and never being present with his family.
Right.
And when we started diving in, especially to that environment, and looking into, hey, what's your purpose? And it wasn't to, hey, my purpose isn't to build this massive business. It's to this for my family. My vision is everything was about his family. His environment, when he feels at his best, was all about, again, family, cohesiveness. And so when he sent me that picture, and it was a really nice message, essentially the form of like, hey, I would have never done this without the work that we've been doing. And I know how much it meant to him to be able to be present with his family for 4 days in Boston when his son was getting the surgery. His son is very young. He's like 4. Recently, that's meant the most to me. Regardless if he did resign, but like regardless if any of that happened, that's what I love to do this for. That's what I think. That's what fills my cup, and that's why I do what I do, because truthfully, like that meant the most. He's not the largest client that I have, not even by a long shot. Those situations,
Yeah.
they just mean so much because
Yep.
he's doing, like you said, defining his version of success, and was able to do something that meant so much to him, just being there and being present in a stressful situation for his family. So that's the one that just immediately comes to my mind because I just feel for him. I just felt it. I felt it in the text when he sent it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Yep. That's that you do feel it, and you share in the victory as the coach. You're able to appreciate
Try to.
the work and the effort and all. So it's
Yeah,
that's
man.
awesome. That's really awesome. Now, as we come to a close, I guess real quick, was one of the reasons why I'm in doing the podcast is trying to get out of the social media landscape. At 43, soon to be 43, I don't want to keep up with the TikTok song and dance.
Neither.
Here's 3
Neither. Yeah.
tips to do this, and here's, oh my gosh, it is exhaustive. It
It's
is. I've
so
been playing that game for the last year, and it's exhaustive. But I can come on here. I can be myself. We can have powerful conversations, connect over truth, over authenticity, over impacting other people. And this is the preferred way for me to be able to grow my business, to create content, to be able to have
yeah.
people get to know, like, and trust me in this more longer form content. And I'm interested to see how it goes. You are episode 44. And since September 23rd is when I started. I had a very open day. I had one client said, I need to do something to start drumming up business. And I said, I've been wanting to do a podcast for the whole year, basically. He's like, I think I should do a podcast. And then finally, that was the days I have to do a podcast. I'd guessed it on about 70 episodes there. Confidence was at an all-time high, regardless of doing it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I knew I could do it. I just hadn't set it up or done it before. And I'd been guesting on it. I became very familiar with the software and just the different
Yeah.
processes of how people are doing it. And so I launched, and since then it's been a sprint. It's just like boom, 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 boom. I'm looking to continue releasing Monday, Wednesday, Friday as much as possible, high quality content and guests and different things to help empower people and show them that they can live a more authentic lifestyle as a result. And that's what brings me to even creating this podcast in the first place, is being my authentic self, being more who Brian is. I get more joy out of our conversation than in the, I don't know, we've been at it for 54 minutes than I do spending the exact amount of time creating my 10-second reels or whatever and watch them get 100 views or something. Just like, oh my gosh, I can't maintain this. This is not how life is. And even to that point, just a side note, I have my kids, and I am significantly coaching them on, hey, are you living life 10 seconds at a time?
Mm.
Because if you do, you'll wake up 10 years from now wondering what happened.
Yeah.
Can we do something
That's
other
great.
with that screen time that you're doing? Listen to a podcast, find an interest area, watch a movie, so at least you're more cultured.
Yeah.
And you can relate to other people when they say, hey, I watched this movie, or you can bring up a line or whatever. For the love, at least do that. Don't look at some random 10, 20-second clip with someone trying to get your attention. Let's do better. So that
Yeah.
my kids get a dad, a loving dad, but also a coach.
Yeah. And actually one of the best lines that I heard about social media, and obviously, Gary Vanderchuk, Gary V's all over, he's
Oh,
a big proponent of it. And the,
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the purpose of this book is to encourage people to use social media. So don't take it the wrong way. But his book is called Day Trading Attention. And
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
that exactly what it is?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, very much so. When it's a
It really
science,
is.
it's a science. And as soon as you figure out the science, then you can go. I've had my first viral piece of content go out on Black Friday. You normally
Nice.
get I'm growing my Instagram following and all. I finally got over 1,000 people, followers and all, and I'm engaging in every single one. If you got a text from me and you're listening, and that was me, not mini chat, not any, it was literally me taking time to engage with you to talk if you're listening and you got a message from me. But it was 2,700 views, which is 10x what it normally is. It's like,
It's awesome,
oh,
man.
I got in 24 hours. I'm like, oh, I got a cooker here. But I haven't had anything as successful since Black Friday, and I've had many swings at bat. So I have not figured out that science. I don't know if I really want to, because it's
Dude.
exhaustive, as you know, and I know, and it's expensive, as you already alluded to. Your bloopers reel.
Yeah, dude, it's hilarious to me that the bloopers reel still to this day is the heavyweight champ on my Instagram stuff. And all of my stuff is really just giving, it's what I do to give back. It's all
Yeah,
videos
right.
of, yeah, just like there's no
Value.
sales pitch at the end.
Yep.
It's just me.
Yep.
And for better or worse, and I'm sure that I could probably do it a million times better. And we're trying to work on it, but at the same time, that's why so it's refreshing too, because that's why I went down this guest on podcast thing as well. It's like, hey, why don't I just have like meaningful conversations with people instead of like fake me jumping out of an airplane and like
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
but
it's
I don't know,
fun
these
now,
are
but
more meaning.
real people will see through that.
Yeah.
I spotted a mile away now. It's like, yeah, this isn't
Yeah,
real.
me too.
This isn't real. So, what's one thing you'd love for a guy to take away from our conversation today?
We've used the word authenticity a lot. um you know one thing that I would say, one thing that came up today I didn't know that didn't think that would be that text that I sent my friend there. you know don't be afraid to be that guy in your friend group,
That's
because
huge.
everybody needs one of them, and it's not weakness, it's strength. So if you see one of your friends that is obviously struggling, actually check in on them. Like,
Meaningfully.
just, hey, spend time and go marry the two things that we spent a lot of this conversation talking about. Check in, right? Seek first to understand what he's going through, and spend actual time with that individual. It's good for the both of you. That's what I would say, that is authenticity. If you want to do it, send them the text. Don't be like, I shouldn't. That's going to cross the line. No, send them a text. Are you okay?
Yes.
Good.
It's huge, it's meaningful, and it's actionable.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're listening in and you hear this and you think of someone, you pictured someone in your head, you need to take action. You need to say hi at the very least. Okay. Take
Absolutely.
action, do something about it. John, how can we find you, get in contact with you? Is there anything you want to a call to action in a sense to send to people?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, look, the Instagram videos, I know we just got done, laughing about social media, but those Instagram videos, I do get a text every single time. It's something I'm very proud of, from generally guys saying, hey, that hit, from random friends, from people that are watching it. That's my business name. So it's Bellwood, BELLEAU WOOD _ coaching. So check me out. And then there's two frameworks that I'd be more than happy if anybody's listening to this, they get my DMs or something. I have got PDF versions I'd be more than happy to send them. And I mean that. And that's my authentic blueprint that we talked about. So purpose, vision, environment, and motivation. Right. And then the other one is called the battle plan, which is a six stage decision model to help you make decisions quickly and accurately. And that goes through clarity, condition, cost, align, act, adapt. So if they're listening and they hit me up, I'll just send it to them and help them work through it if they need to. But I think both of those have been proven to work really well for guys specifically.
I find a lot of people that I work with already know what they should be doing, aren't doing it. And even say the offer that you're giving is giving the thing away. It's not that. The true value lies with the actual work that needs done to create the outcome. Same thing with me. Hey, here's how many calories you need to eat. Here's how you build meals. Here's what macros look like if you want to do that. Here's what exercise needs to look like. You can get that information anywhere. It's the actual work and the transformation that happens of creating that bigger outcome. That's
coaching is for the ready.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate your time, your energy, your connection. John reached out to me on this, and then I did some due diligence, and I said, yeah, I think he'd be a good person to have on, and I'm so grateful that we were able to connect and have this conversation. I think it can move the needle for a lot of guys listening in, because this is real. Men are feeling these things and they're not expressing them. They're not being their authentic self. They don't have a vision or a purpose. They're getting left in the I understand what a midlife crisis is now. When people just run into that last rock that finally broke the back, the back and wore them down. That's when they burn it all down, because they have stacked. They've been walking in the direction that leads them away from what their true goals are. And that's what's important that you take away from this message that we had today is when you move toward your authentic self, it's actually lighter. It's more energetic. It's happier. I've had more joy and happiness having this conversation than I would just sat on my phone editing a B-roll. And so thank you, John, for that. I want to thank the listeners for listening in to our conversation, to be more authentic and to seek help if you need it, whether it's from a friend or more professional. It's okay. And it should be the norm for men to be okay doing that. And that wraps episode 44 for Driven for Health, featuring John and Coach Brian. Thank you so much, and we will catch you in the next one.
Thanks, Brian.
It's uploading.